Okay. All right, so
Thank
I'll
you.
get started. Let's go over a review of clinical education and events, how we did for the. Oh, hi, Eldon. How we did for education events for the quarter. One of the pages I stole out of Rob's book I really like is to share the feedback that we're getting. So, as many of you know, we had two symposium in the quarter. This is some comments we got regarding the sleep symposium, which is nice to see. The tour of Glidewell was fascinating. I would have made the trip for this alone, which is really nice to hear. That's the reason why we have this great education center. The effort to make our time with you valuable and enjoyable is appreciated. That was specifically regarding the staff, not just the lecturers, but the staff and the IO team. So good job, everybody that helps contribute to that. And of course, we still have our online study club every week. And these are some of the comments we got and what they were specific to. I've never been fortunate enough to have someone explain so clearly such important details regarding grafting until today. That was almost like a little mini novel, but that was a really good comment about Dr. Miller. Very useful and great clinical information, fantastic, generous, excellent information, and the forms are great. And then finally, regarding our live courses, great, fantastic presenter and excellent, informative and positive. It inspires me to learn more and continue to educate myself and my team. So we are headed in the right direction with the speakers we work with the experience that we provide. And I think we're hands down the only lab in the country, if not the world. I suspect the world that can provide an experience and generate comments like this. So that's kudos to everybody that worked so hard to put this all together. So how do we do financially? This is a slide that I like to, this is the snapshot slide I was talking about, where we, on the left side here, we have everything that I measure pretty diligently. On-site sales that we generate from courses, both equipment, I think IO and Han kits, and then also the tuition that we collect, which isn't our main goal, but it's important to have a fee, so there's some skin in the game, and people are encouraged to have some value in what we're supplying them. And then trade shows, and then our symposia and symposium tuition. So if we look at our courses on-site sales, they're about flat to last year. We're about 3% down. A lot of this can have to do with calendaring. I'll get to that in just a second. And then course tuition's down quite a bit. It's down 45%. We've been very aggressive, including hotel rooms and reducing the cost. It's not a huge amount, $181,000 down from 263. So nothing to really worry about at all there. Trade shows are up. Trade shows are up quite a bit, actually, considering that this time last year, we'd already been through the American Academy of Clear Aligners. That event happened in the second quarter last year, and it literally just happened this last weekend here. So that's effectively Q3. So you've got $2.7 million that we generated last year that is reflected in this trade show total that is automatically not reflected here. You'll see Q3 basically really high. So trade shows are up, even though we're not counting 2.7 million in AACA sales that we generated last year. And then symposium on-site sales, doing fairly well. We're up 14%, but bearing in mind that we've had 3 symposia this year so far, and this time last year, we'd only had 1. It was a good one, but we'd only had 1. So again, that's the calendaring. And then symposium tuition's up a bit as well, because we had 2 times more, 3 times more of the events. In total, we're 7% over last year in generating revenue, and about 85% of that is IO and equipment related. The other 15% is Glidewell Direct, so Han kits and implant packages. But the most important thing that we measure here, the most important goal is to generate future business into the lab. And from course attendees, the past 6 months, we see their activity is 7% higher in aggregate than it was before they attended a course. And that's what we're looking for. So we're we try to be cost neutral, generate income for the equipment sales, but also to increase the business into the lab. And we're doing an effective job of that. Here is a list of all the trade shows we went to in the second quarter. This is just the second quarter. I think when I first joined the company a bit over 6 years ago, this would have been just about our entire annual calendar. We're going to about 30 to 40 shows. Now we're doing about 150 different events. A lot of them, as you can see here, I've highlighted anything that was really remarkable in the sales that we were able to generate at the show. A lot of that, as you can see here, is from Glidewell IO. So for example, the CDA Anaheim, which is down here on May 18th to the 20th. I mean, $1.2 million in Glidewell IO sales. That's incredible. And almost $60,000 in direct sales. So that's Ercodent machines and the Hahn implant and implant packages as well. So really good job. We're going to a lot of events. You're always going to see some that are a little poorer in performance. The Michigan Dental Association, May 4th and 5th on this list kind of jumps out to me, where you calibrate. You know, the reason we go to these shows is to shorten the sales cycle, not necessarily just generate a ton of sales that Saturday. So you see sales come in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, even a few months later that get attributed to these reports. And so I certainly measure that as well. But our game with trade shows is really strong. And the majority of that is due to the Glidewell IO sales. And as you can see here, this is something I think Rob introduced a few years ago where we started doing these large banners. And I know Ari and Andy and Nicole work really hard on these. These are images from the California Dental Association at the Anaheim Convention Center. Really nice. It's kind of funny because I've always been, they're expensive, right? I think they're about $40,000 to get all of these. But to see them work and be this effective is definitely surpassing even my highest expectations of how these would do. These are working quite well, all the marketing, but we have the $99 Hahn implant advertised, and right above that, you see the IO banner and 0% financing and no monthly fees. We're effectively owning these shows with these large banners in the main lobby. This is the team at CDA Anaheim. We had a very nice Glidewell booth, but something that we've been doing increasingly is to have satellite booths as well. So we had Crown World, you see Corey down here on the bottom left, but we had a Riverside Dental Ceramics booth. But in terms of the Glidewell brand, we had a separate implant booth and we had a separate intraoral scanner booth as well. So Glidewell as a brand had 3 booths, the large custom booth and 2 smaller 10-foot booths. And with RDC and Crown World in the building, we kind of own this meeting. It's local to us, but it's worked really well. The more we have these satellite booths that are focused only on Hahn or only on scanners, we're definitely seeing the ROI. Of course, you got Jose and Byron here working those booths. That's all I have for trade shows. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to interrupt. I'm going to jump to the Glidewell Symposium this year so far. We've had 2 in the quarter. So we've had 3 so far, but we just got the last one was in this quarter. We're going to be in this quarter. We had a sleep symposium, April 21st and 22nd. Here's some images from that. It was a good symposium, but as far as attendance, it was our least attended one. It's 111, I believe. And then we had our aesthetic symposium that we just finished up here at the end of June, and that had 175. That was a good event as well. And how did we do? So of the 3 symposia that we've had so far this year, we've had total sales of just under 1.7 million. And you can see our attendance reports there across the top, 147, 111, 175. We do have the Complete Dentures Symposium, not this week, but the following week from now. We have 162 as of today that are registered for that. Our total sales are decent in general. The sleep one is not good. Total sales of 100,000 on site. Of course, you compare that to implants at 675 and aesthetics at almost 1 million. Sleep is definitely the one that you look at and say, we should stick to courses on that one, perhaps. But our sales per attendee remain strong overall. Just as a comparison, when we had the large symposia in Orlando or DC, where we would get, over 800 people, or over 600 at the DC one, over 800 at the Orlando one, we'd be hovering around $7,000 or $8,000 in sales per person. And so while it's dropped a little bit, we're getting them here. They're taking the tour, and I would expect a lot more stickiness. We're still working on the reporting for these three specifically, but we're going to see increases of business into the lab that we don't normally see when we do things off-site. In fact, what we can measure so far is the new restart, new to product. Implant Symposium, 10 new customers. Okay, 10 restarts and 67 cross-sell, so bought products that they hadn't invested in with us before. Implants being the big one. Sleep a little lower, but the attendance numbers are lower as well. And we're crunching the numbers on the aesthetics one and courses right now. We're working with Nolan, who's been quite busy on it, but being an army of one for us, we're making sure we have the integrity of the data before I report this out. So we'll have it for you at the next quarter's presentation. We'll have more of a track record to see how we're doing on the courses this year so far in terms of new and restart, new to product. We do see the increase of 7%. We just aren't sure about how many are new at this point. This is interesting. What's working for us? These, when we do eBlasts or we have Global Direct use the phones and make offers, postcards, case stuffers, magazine ads, eBlasts, hands down, are the #1 media that are working for us. We've had a huge increase in the effectiveness of postcards. Its effectiveness has basically doubled as compared to our last meeting. It was about 47. So that's an interesting one. So eBlast is holding strong. Global Direct did really well early in the year and then kind of tailed off as they got extremely busy on other things. And so the current symposia, we don't have as many. So we have to figure out a way to free up some time for that. Postcard did great. I was looking at this morning with Keith, though, and I think, why do we do case stuffers for symposia? It's really, really low. And I don't know if it's because it doesn't get to the doctor. Maybe it's just not as compelling as the other media that we're currently using.
Andy, every dental assistant and front office staff I've ever talked to says they throw those all out before anyone reads them.
Yeah. It's interesting to know, Daryl. It's hard, right? I know, especially with magazine ads. There's probably more that we get through magazine ads, but when you're asking somebody, what made you sign up? Oh, I saw the eBlast. Well, they may have seen a postcard. They may have seen a magazine ad. They may have gotten that awareness, and they just pulled the trigger on that one final thing that got them to do it. So we have to bear that in mind as well. But yeah, thanks, Daryl. I suspect that a lot of it does get tossed when it comes to case stuffers. So we have to work to maybe put a big note. Give this to the doctor.
Eldon, don't stop stuffing. We still love them.
Oh yeah, they work. I'm sure they work. They're just not working for the symposia as much as I'd like. I mean, if you've got something that says 50% off your next case, that's going to be probably a little bit more tangible, right, than saying come to this event in September. We have some coming up. So a little bit, I love giving you all this review, but I also like to show you what's coming down the pike for us. Set the table for what's coming up. We have our denture symposium here end of July, then we go into the IOX one, the dentistry on the rise one, which I call kind of like the guiding leaders one at the end of September, and then implants, the restorative phase. And we continue to of course, have weekly meetings to go over how that is. In fact, we have a DSO summit one, which isn't on here. So that was an invite only one. I've just started seeing eBlast for that one today, but we don't have registration, through your typical channels. We have a meeting to go over the logistics on that this week. So a lot coming down the pike still. I think we'll have a really good second half of the year. I think in particular, the IOX, the implants, and the dentistry on the rise could be really, really good for us. The dentures when jury's out on direct sales on site, but we'll see. Here's a flyer we've got for the dentistry on the rise. We have all the speakers, kind of this rogues gallery. We have a real compelling offer. This is one we have to get really, really aggressive on now. And so that's just starting to happen in the next few weeks. Courses, let's look back on courses a little bit in the second quarter. We had our first ever full arch course that was taught by 2 instructors. We had Dr. Patel and Dr. Manalili teach it, and it was great. We had 64 attendees in this course in the Education Center, a really, really good course that we're not going to have Dr. Manley for on the one in October. We have Dr. Patel, so we'll have to either get another clinician or have Will go out there. I think Will's kind of tagged to help out on it. But this was a new course for us to have them both teach it, and it went extremely well. And then we also had...
Hey, Andy, sorry, this is Javad. Quick question. We are struggling on our, not the best time to bring it, but I just wanted to ask the question. On the full arch course,
Mhm.
just a question that you don't have to answer now, but I would be curious to find out. How are these customers doing? Us being down with full arches here in our lab, how are these guys doing out there? Are they up? Are they
Yeah.
doing okay? Are they seeing less? Anyway, you don't have to answer. I just wanted to throw it out there. Maybe somebody would know.
Yeah. Well, no, it's all part of the tracking, Javad. We certainly track their activity for 6 months after the event. I would say with a full arch course, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have to find the right patient, right? So you expect that they will take advantage of our services, but you don't get it's not a typical crown. So they certainly have to find the right case. I think this one was doing okay, but we'll have the reports for you, Javad, not a problem. We do it for all of the courses. It's just happened in May, so we don't really have the track record just yet. It's the same with this course. We had a really great course with Dr. Kaczynski, surgical placement of dental implants with 48 attendees. Something more important that we do is we really analyze how the instructors are bringing business into the lab in aggregate. So this is only a partial answer to your comment, Javad, but we see Dr. Patel's bringing 8% on aggregate increase into the lab, Dr. Manley 41%. And that, I believe, was in part due to full arch. But this is going back the last 6 months and saying what are our average sales per attendee? What are the average sales we're generating per course? If we were just looking at day of sales, that's what the second number down is in Kaczynski, the 173,000. He's obviously the rock star. He is an acolyte. He is an evangelist for the Hahn implant system and for Glidewell in general. So he does an exceptional job. You can see even 15% increase into the lab over time. Schlesinger, it's not quite fair to say, hey, we're seeing a 14% less business because it's really just one course, I believe we're looking at with him in this case. And so you kind of have to give it time and have more than one course to measure against. Patel holding strong at about 8% increase, Choi about 18%, which is very high for him. Han down 21 again, to be fair to Jack. That's using one course this year, and it's probably rolling in one that just ended last year. His sales during the course are fairly good, but people increasing their business here, we're just not seeing it right now. And even Dr. Spencer at plus 7%. You don't sell a lot at a sleep course, but to get a 7% increase in sleep devices primarily from him is quite good. So on average, we're seeing a 7% increase in people that attend our courses into the lab in dollars. Got some good courses coming up. Numbers are decent. I see this one with Jameson Spencer here in August at 45, which is great. One in Kentucky with Patel at 35, which is very good. That's just about sold out. We can fit about 36 people in that room comfortably, and after that, it gets a little tight. The one here we see on the left here with 17 with Dr. Kaczynski, that's actually our first Glidewell local course up at the AGD headquarters building that they have near the airport in Seattle. So we're just breaking new ground and having courses there. I'd like to see that number higher. It probably will be higher by the end of this month, but 17 it's all right. It's all right. I'd rather see it up around 30, and that's what we're going to be pushing for. And then some of these are further out. So we have the one in New Jersey with Kaczynski at 24. That is actually sold out for the facility that we use. So when we get more than 24, we move it to a hotel because it's Dr. Shanker Irish office and it only holds 24. So doing pretty good. As far as the online study club, we can't forget online. Every single week we have a presenter. We had Dr. Manley this weekend, or this last Friday, I should say. And we have an average of 745 attendees per week. That's up from 654 average attendees per week last year. So it just keeps going up. It's really nice to see. And implants, anything periodontal, anything more technical than usual tends to do extremely well in the online study club. So kudos to Nicole on my team and Dr. Park for keeping that running. It's a really nice, healthy machine we can count on, and we do get a lot of names that we can put into our marketing funnel. And then on-demand online CE. We've got 5 courses we've loaded up this year. I mean, I should say, yeah, this year so far. A lot of the ones on the left here, they're all Jamison Spencer, but then we got Dr. Bender has an excellent one that went live in May. And a lot of thanks to James and his team for this, making these happen. And then you can see how many we've got enrolled currently. These will eventually get into the thousands, but right now, over a couple of years, but we're doing fairly well. So again, Nicole does a lot of work in keeping us going here. Magazines, we've got another issue of Chairside that is extremely far along. The one on the left with Dr. Swanson's already been published. The one in the middle is just the image, one of the images we're looking at using for the cover. It's our business advisory panel. They're going to be the cover story. And then we have a new magazine called Integrate. This is just a mock-up of the cover that we're currently at work on. It's going to be an implant-focused magazine. In fact, the cover shoot is going to be the photographers taking the pictures of Dr. Randy Resnick and his son Christopher are going to be the cover heroes, and that shot's happening this weekend. So we're moving pretty well along on that. A couple more slides here before we turn it over to Ari. We have the AAID Maxi course. It's the first time they've ever had one out here on the West Coast. It's going to be here at our education center. First one starting in September. So this is a prestige thing. And I think they're close to 30. I could be wrong, Dr. Park, but I think they're close to 30 doctors. They're doing fairly well. And this is a program where, as you can see here, they have 3 hands-on workshops. They have a cadaver workshop. They have it's a series. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 9? 9 different events. And this is exciting for us because it's a great opportunity to use our facility and show what we can do. Remote labs really quickly. So something I've rolled in this year, and Kathy Hardenberg on the team is helping us out. We had some webinars that led up to a live course with New West in Scottsdale. A decent course, capitalizing on getting business out of these 33 attendees, 24 of which were doctors, is something we have to keep plugging away on, because so far from some of the events we've done, they've got 7 new customers. That's going to a trade show and having some webinars and doing a course. Not exactly where we want to be, so we have to keep pushing and following up. 5 restarts though, so 12 total if you count the restarts. With remote labs each, we're going to a trade show this year, and they all have, with the exception of the Academy of General Dentistry, which is this weekend. That's the LVDDS is going to be attending that one. We have no problem generating a strong amount of leads. RDC at the CDA Anaheim, 187 leads, 81 of which were doctors. Smith Sterling, 300 leads. That's a lot of leads, but 113 doctors. Sold a scanner, and so it's all about the leads and shortening the sales cycle at these events. So if we can continue to get customers out of this and build these relationships, these will have been worth it. But we certainly have to keep measuring this. And I know Denise over out in LVDS is working, I know, with Joe and the team and Dave, and creating some Tableau reporting. You can see next time. RDC, Riverside Dental Ceramics, we have a great open house coming up August 3rd. That's the day before our DSO Summit. We have Dr. Bender is going to be teaching a CE course at that event, and we're at 47 so far. And then finally, Glidewell Local. I know many of you are aware that we sent 7 of our team members up to Seattle. It's hard to believe, it was literally just last week, to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and physically get a car and drive to up to 60 accounts and basically drop off a welcome kit, tell them who Glidewell Local is, and ask for their business. Anna Kataoko did an excellent job of breaking out 7 different territories, and we assigned them to 7 different people. You can see the names across the top here: Nicole, Keith, Randy, Yasmin, Rich, Kathy, and Christine. Not all of them trained as sales reps, but very passionate and charismatic, and went up and did an excellent job. So this is the team up there outside the Glidewell Local office. And they went out and they just hammered the city. Keith had downtown. So here he is with a nice view. Nakanishi Dental Lab's a giant lab up there. I don't say they're giant, but they're really established. in a previous life, I've been in that lab a couple of times. They are very, very good at what they do and very embedded in the local community and work with the DSOs up there. This is a great picture here. You know, Chicago's like this, Seattle's like this too. This is Christine. Almost everybody on this list is a dentist. This is one building. And you've got orthos and you've got a bunch of dentists over here as well. So you go into a building like that and you're going to walk out with 50 business cards just about. You can see some of our cases out in the wild. So they did a great job. Speaking of 50 business cards, there's Christine and Nicole and Rich and Kathy. So a good effort. We will start seeing the results of this, I would expect, in the next 2 to 4 weeks and decide if it's something that we want to do in other areas. These are some of the texts that came across during the week. Just kind of an insight into what they were dealing with up there. Another commitment to send more cases. One doctor was with a patient. Receptionist shared that he was interested in miss out in the open house. So some got calls, hey, come pick up a case tomorrow. And then we have courses, and we're coming into the home stretch here. We have some courses. I know I showed you the 17 we have with the first Kaczynski course, but we have a few others that are happening up there. And these pictures at the bottom are the AGD, Washington AGD facility that they've got right there near the airport. So lots going on that we can report on for next quarter. And I thank you for your time. Any questions?